Welcome to Classical 95.9 WCRI's Conducting Conversations with your host, Mike Mano. 1 hour of music and conversation with notable people in the arts, bringing you the stories of how music has impacted their lives. The show will give a behind-the-scenes look at the guest's background, interests, or special project.
Conducting Conversations is brought to you by Roberts Musical Instruments. From sheet music and brand name instruments to rentals, repairs, lessons, and more. Roberts Musical Instruments is your key to musical success. Call 823-5459. That's 823-5459.
And now here's your host, Mike Mano.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conducting Conversations. I'm Mike Mano, very pleased to be sitting with the world-famous Frank Zellini, who is back again from the Mystic River Chorale. He is the artistic director. Welcome back, Frank.
Hey, Mike. Great to join you.
Nice to have you back with us once again and find out everything we want to know about the Mystic River Chorale. And, Frank, you brought someone with you. Sandra Streeter is here. She is a board member of the chorale. Welcome to the program, Sandra.
Thank you.
It's great to have you with us. And we're going to find out a little bit about Sandra and a little bit about Frank. I think we know pretty much everything there is to know about you, Frank, right?
Open book.
Frank has been on the show several times, and Mystic River Chorale has been in existence for quite a while now. About how long, roughly?
We're somewhere around our 41st season.
Yeah, we started in 84.
1984?
We've been kicking for a while, and we sort of lost count of the pandemic, or at least I did.
Right.
So we should ask Sandra the important questions and just let you be there and kind of...
That's right. I'm just the pretty face at the head of the crowd.
All right. Well,
Without whom we would do nothing.
Sandra, I want you to know that a pretty face is Frank's opinion. Okay.
I'm blind for anybody who doesn't know.
There you go.
That's where that comes in.
Sandra Streeter is a board member of the chorale, and she is with us today for the first time, and she is blind, and so we want to kind of emphasize that a little bit about the fact that, wow, a blind singer. How does that work? But let's back up a little bit. Sandra, where do you hail from? Where did you grow up?
Most of my growing up was in Groton, Connecticut.
Oh, so a local person. All right.
Yes.
Groton, Connecticut. And anything to do with the military, or just happens to be Groton?
My family was from there, and we came back from our military jaunts when I was 3.
Okay.
So other than going away to school, I have been a Groton resident for most of my life.
For most of your life. That's great. And how long you been with the chorale?
36 years.
36 years?
Yes.
Wow.
So I was 2 when she joined.
You had to throw that in, right?
Just a little.
Okay.
Other than going away to college, I went away for a year and a half, but been part of it since 1987, I believe.
Now, why is the fact that we mentioned you're blind important to what we're talking about today?
So blindness and also, by the way, autism, which I also have, require some techniques and equipment for accessibility. I interact differently with people. So it does require more legwork. But one of the reasons I'm here is to let people know that just because you have a disability, maybe you're newly disabled, doesn't mean your life ends, doesn't mean you don't get to participate in choral activities if that's what you have enjoyed in the past. So there are ways, to get around things. So.
Excellent. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I know in my singing career over the years, I've been on shows with one particular memory is a man that was blind that had been a member of the singing organization for about 30 years. And he played an unbelievable piano, and he would always do a little appearance right after intermission. So it was great to have that as part of the program. Frank, is this something that you knew of when you first arrived? Because she's been here way longer than you have.
Well, one of my favorite things that Sandra does periodically in rehearsal that really gets all the new people, and it certainly got me the first time, is when you make a typical cited reference. Sandra will often make a little quip, and everyone goes, "Uh-oh."
It puts people at ease eventually.
It does. The first one was I was remembering a teacher talking about, the division of labor of the senses, and she used to say in her inimitable Lexington, North Carolina accent, "Now, the eyes are the bullies of the senses." And Sandra goes, "Not for me."
Yeah. I can be a little bit of a wise guy, and I think that's good.
Absolutely, it's good. Absolutely, and keep the rest of us in line. I know that frequently, I used to have a director that would say, "Can't you see the colon?" Or "Can't you see that?"
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes Sandra is a brilliant first soprano. She has an extremely acute, specific sense of pitch and just beautiful production. And there have been times in our smaller subgroup, the chamber singers, where I have needed to cue Sandra to come in alone on a specific note that's not necessarily easy to count. And we have found, that she can be sensitive to going, just a little inhalation serves instead of a visual cue.
Sure.
Yep.
And it sounds very artistic and passionate as well. So.
And we're all supposed to be counters in choirs anyway, so
That's the
between the
theory.
two things,
Sandra,
it gets done.
If you all counted, I'd be out of a job.
If you all had
Right.
the correct sense of rhythm. Yeah.
Well, one of the big things extracurricularly for me is I'm a big fan of the band Rush, and a lot of the music they do is in 7. So I have learned to do really quirky music. So some of the stuff we do is not as scary for me as for other people, and it has definitely taught me the value of counting, because when you're singing Rush, you're not, you can't mess that up.
You got to be engaged.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right. Well, we're going to get more information from you in a few moments, but right now I'd like to get some music on the air. And we're here to talk about the concert that's going to be happening, featuring Sandra on...
Not alone. Don't even.
Oh, you didn't know it was a solo engagement?
I just found out.
which is going to be Sunday, May 18th, 4 o'clock in Stonington. And where?
At Mystic Congregational Church in Mystic.
Oh, in Mystic. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Mystic Congregational Church in Mystic. All right, so let's get some music going here and tell us what you brought for us first.
All right, so I've got a few pieces here from Louis Viern's Messe Solennelle, which is a big choral piece that's scored for 2 organs. And that's sort of a problem when we're programming it, because very few churches have 2 organs. But in the French cathedral tradition, you'd have the great big organ in the back of the church, the grand orgue, literally the big organ. And then you'd have a smaller little organ up front where the choir would be. And so it takes advantage of this antiphonal kind of sound where you have this big roaring organ against the choir. And interestingly, so Louis Vierne, he was the organist of Notre Dame in Paris, but he also comes from the great tradition of blind French organists. They taught kids...
A great tradition?
There's a great tradition of blind French organists from the early 20th century. They had schools where in that time they thought, oh, well, their sense of sound must be heightened. So they gave them music lessons, and some of the kids went on to play the chapel services for the school.
Okay.
So this is Ensemble Les Éléments, led by Joel Suhubiet and Michel Bouvard at the organ.
So there's actually 3 pieces we're going to hear, one right after the other.
That's right, the Gloria, Sanctus, and Benedictus.
And then we'll take a short break and be back with more. The Mystic River Chorale is the subject of tonight's Conducting Conversations. I'm Mike Mano, and I think at the beginning of the program, I forgot to say Happy Easter to all of you that are practicing that. And Frank, it's great to have both you and Sandra here. Frank Zellini and Sandra Streeter are here representing the chorale, and we've listened to some music, but I want to get some more details about the concert coming up on Sunday, May 18th. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So this spring concert is really focusing in on various folk traditions. We have a sampling of various geographical regions. We're doing a couple of villancicos, which are like carols from the Iberian Peninsula. We're doing some settings of folk tunes from the west end of England and Wales. And then we're going to spend a good chunk of time in like the Bohemian Danube kind of region, Czech Republic and Slovakia.
Well, that sounds pretty eclectic.
It's really eclectic, and let me tell you, the choir is so grateful to me for programming languages Spanish, Welsh.
Oh, I'm sure they're thrilled.
Slovak, Czech.
Now, Sandra, as a singer, how do you go about different languages? Is that challenging?
It is between the blindness and the ASD. I freaked out the other night because suddenly we decided we all wanted to switch this one into German after my brailing all of the Czech. And I went into full ASD mode and I couldn't stop fixating on the fact that I was going to have to redo this score and relearn it. And, Frank's apology did miles of work on that. And my reader was very happy to go ahead and make a tape for me of the new German we were doing. So it all worked out. But, I find that when languages get sprung on me, then it's like, oh no, what do I do? So that's the ASD piece, but the blindness piece requires me to take dictation from a tape that one of our members does for me, in which she'll do the spelling of the language. She'll do the measure numbers that are important, the page numbers, dynamics, all of that stuff that I need to learn because I'm not a Braille music reader. I hate Braille music. So I have a good ear, and I think that kind of speeds things up for me.
Well,
I record the rehearsals, so when we are doing languages, I will sometimes sit with the recording and recite what's being said over and over until it's finally in there. I'm a language geek somewhat, so it's not as hard as it might seem. Once I have the linguistic patterns down in my head, I can usually figure it out from there. So yes, a challenge, but not insurmountable.
And that's the good news as far as the chorale is concerned, because it allows you to participate for all these years.
Absolutely.
And Frank, is Sandra the only person with special needs, if you will?
We have a couple people with mobility challenges, and there has been sort of this visual performance aspect of choirs for so long. We all wear our little outfits and we process like little soldiers, but we're really making a conscious effort to do away with that. So if a member needs to be seated at the outset, and kind of stay there, we can do that. We have stools that allow people who really just can't stand for a 2-hour thing, that they can really kind of be at standing height while not, being at risk of toppling.
Right. Yeah, I know how that goes. And that comes not only with disability, but also with age. I mean,
Absolutely.
You're going to have people that are, getting along in years, and it's always good to be able to help them out.
Yeah, and to not make them feel singled out.
Yep.
We don't do the procession anymore. Just like an orchestra is sitting before the audience before the performance starts, we're doing the same thing with the choir. People did not come out to see how well we can walk in a straight line.
Exactly.
That's absolutely true. All right, you have a couple pieces of music. Tell us about the first one.
Okay, so this is Bob Chilcott's setting of, it's actually a Canadian folk tune. She's Like the Swallow, but I'm, for my own, programming purposes, lumping it in with the English West Country. And this is Tenebrae under the direction of Nigel Short.
She's like the swallow that flies so high. She's like the river that never runs dry. She's like the sunshine on the lee shore. She loves her love, but she'll love no more. 'Twas down in the meadow this fair maid bent, a-picking the primrose just as she went. The more she picked, the more she pulled, until she gathered her apron full. She climbed on yonder hill above to give a rose unto her love. She gave him one, she gave him three. She gave her heart for
And as they sat on yonder hill, his heart grew hard, so harder still. He has two hearts instead of one. She says, "Young man, what have you done?"
How foolish, foolish you must be to think I love no one but he. The world's not made for one alone. I take delight in every
She took her roses and made a bed, a stony pillow for her head. She lay her down, no more did say, but let her roses fade away.
She's like the swallow that flies so high. She's like the river that never runs dry. She's like the sunshine on the lee shore. She loves her love, but she'll love no more.
Frank, we have time to get one more in before we take our next break. What will that be?
All right, this is the Welsh piece that we're doing. The choir is very grateful to be tangling with that. This is called Mein Hariad in Venus. That's my sweetheart is like Venus. And this is the Holst Singers under Stephen Layton.
All right, we'll listen to that, take a short break, and be back with more. The Mystic River Chorale is the subject of tonight's Conducting Conversations. I'm Mike Mano, sitting with Frank and Sandra and talking about the concert coming up for the chorale on May 18th. And Frank, give us the details one more time about what time and where.
Yeah, so this is May 18th, 4 p.m. at Mystic Congregational Church, just right on downtown Mystic on Main Street.
All right, so it should be pretty easy to find.
It's just right there by the roundabout.
Well, the roundabout?
The roundabout at the far end of town.
Roundabout. You mean the Rotary?
Oh, the Rotary, yes.
Well, Frank's from New York, so excuse
I'm a
me.
transplant New Englander. Apologies.
Yeah, okay. Let's continue with the music and listen to three rather short pieces, and then we'll come back and talk about a little bit more about the concert and what's coming up after that.
So we are performing 6 of Dvorak's Moravian duets. And they were set for choir by also fellow Czech composer Leos Janáček. And what I have here is 3 of these duets actually just for the 2 soloist singers. So these are the first 3 of these Moravian duets, and the performers are Simona Shaturova and Markéta Kurková.
This
Sandra, I'd like to go back to you for a moment and find out a little bit more about things that go on with the chorale from your perspective. You arrive, once a week for rehearsals
Yes,
normally?
we have weekly rehearsals except during production week. And at that point, we are up to 3 rehearsals. And it's a busy week, but it's well worth it. We always end up pulling all the loose ends together and deciding what we need to do to make that happen. So
loose ends are important to bring together.
It's everything.
Okay. And as far as you say production week, that's normally where things get tightened up and
Yes.
so forth.
Yep.
You always play or sing with, I should say, a piano. Is that normal?
During regular rehearsals, yes. During the prod week rehearsals, we bring in whatever other accompaniment we're using at the time, whether it's orchestra, organ, whatever it is.
So orchestra is something that happens once in a while. Frank, is that happening in this production?
Not in this one. So our usual pattern is to do a big work with orchestra in January and then a program of smaller, lighter pieces, usually either a cappella or with piano accompaniment for our May concert.
Okay, well, almost chamber style.
Yeah, exactly. And we are a chamber choir, and this is just, our opportunity to really flex that muscle.
Okay, so the word Mystic River Chorale, you could add chamber music.
I could, but then it becomes sort of a mouthful.
Okay, all right. But I mean, you don't sing and dance. You don't do tap, and you don't do the procession into the room and so forth. So you're not a show chorus.
Yeah, we're there for the music.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. So I just want to make sure everyone understands, and the fact that you can join the chorale if you'd like to put some fun in your life. Sandra, would you recommend people come down and visit? Or how do they
Absolutely.
get started?
That would be a good way to do it because then you are exposed to whatever we're doing at a given time and you can see the score. You can decide, more or less, is this really going to fit me? Do I have time to devote to this? That sort of thing. So,
All right. Well, it's an opportunity that presents itself, and people can come in at what time of the year, Frank?
So we'll take them in the fall and in the spring, so September and January generally. And you can just check our website, send us an email, and just come and show up, sit in on rehearsal. We have like a 1 out of 3 runoff people from the chorale rate.
Okay. Now,
Most people
is this,
stick around.
In order to get
we don't
there,
scare them too much.
Right. In order to get there, should they be prepared with a degree in music?
Not at all. Not at all. Just if you like to sing or if you think you might like to sing, this can be a great way for you to do that.
So there's no requirement, so to speak. You don't have to have a degree or you don't have to have X amount of experience. it's an opportunity, and for all ages, right?
And for all ages, the youngest we've had singing with us was 11, and the oldest was well into his 90s.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so check out Mystic River Chorale, and if it's something that you'd like to do, go down to where again to rehearse?
So we rehearse at Union Baptist Church in Mystic.
Okay, Union Baptist Church in Mystic, and make that put that on your bucket list so that at the end of the summer, check it out. Maybe you too could be a performer with Frank and Sandra. That's going to be the new subtitle, the Frank and Sandra group.
Love it, and we'd love to see you there.
All right.
Yes.
We have one more piece of music. Before we get to that, Sandra, I want to thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story with us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
It's been a pleasure to meet you. And Frank, always great to see you and hear what's going on with the chorale. Tell us about this last piece we're going to hear.
So this last piece also comes from the Dvorak-Moravian duets, and this is my opportunity for shameless self-promotion. The title of the piece is Zelenai o Zelenai, which my last name is the Hungarian version, Zelenyi, and it just means green or verdant. And this is actually one of the settings by Janacek for choir. So you'll get kind of a little sampler, a little taste of what you'll actually hear in the concert. And this is Ensemble Cithara.
Excellent. Well, thanks again for both of you for coming in, and we wish the best for the Mystic River Chorale. And that, again, the date is May 18th, 4 o'clock. So check out the website at mysticriverchorale.org. And we'll see the rest of you next time on Conducting Conversations. Conducting Conversations was brought to you by Roberts Musical Instruments, using music in the arts to keep your child educated, entertained, and having fun. Roberts Musical Instruments is your key to musical success. Call 823-5459. That's 823-5459.